Hey there, it's Sam. This video is to help you learn how to take self-portraits if you don't have a fancy new camera with the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi. Okay, because not everybody got that. So, if you would like some tips and some help and learn how to do that, keep watching. Are you ready? Let's do this. Let's jump in. First things first, what do you need for self-portraits?
A tripod or a sturdy surface. You don't have to have a tripod to take self-portraits. A remote. Your camera! Of course you need that.
No remote, no app, no Wi-Fi, no problem. You can still take awesome self-portraits without any of that jazz. All you need is a camera and a timer. The only hard part about going about doing portraits this way is setting your focus. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. So what you're gonna wanna do is set your settings on your camera first. So figure out where you're gonna be taking your self-portraits, set your lighting and all your camera settings to where you want it to be at. I usually suggest, especially with this method of taking self-portraits, to shoot with a little bit of a higher aperture than you usually would, just so that you have more of a chance of actually getting the shot in focus, because you can't actually see what you're shooting. But you're gonna wanna make sure that you put your camera on your timer. Most cameras come with either a 2-second timer or a 10-second timer. So the best way that I found to set your focus with your camera when you don't have a remote to trigger your camera is to use an object or your hand to set focus. For the time being, while you're focusing on the spot, put your lens on autofocus. So you're then gonna put your hand, or whatever, your hand, where you need to be and focus on that spot, right there. And then you're gonna take your lens and switch it over into manual. And now it's locked on to this spot right here where you were. So now when you hit your shutter button, you just step into the spot and that should be where it's in focus. So you can just remember to stand here, reach over.
Oh wait, did my camera die? Oh, no. R.I.P. Jesus. Okay, so I got a new battery. I had to buy all new batteries because literally every single battery I own is draining in like 20 minutes and it's ridiculous.
So now I'm gonna show you, instead of using your hand, to use an object. And you might laugh because this is pretty funny, but this is how I used to do it back in the day. So I used to get an object and place it on like a chair or in the area I was gonna be at, set my focus manually with my eyeball looking at the LCD screen. So I'll show you how you can do that. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your random object of choice to focus on in place of you or your hand. Maybe you need to be shooting, where you wanna shoot is further back than where you can have it focus on your hand and hit that. So this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna bring in your object, which mine is my daughter's unicorn stuffed animal. Okay. It is what it is, it works, okay? So don't even judge. Okay, so this is me, pretend I'm this unicorn. Is you're now gonna focus. You can either autofocus or manually focus on Mr. Unicorn there. So unicorn's in focus. Now I put it over to manual.
And now what you're gonna do is you're gonna set your timer. Move that shit. Clearly I should have put it on the 10-second timer instead of the 2. So let's try again. Okay.
Good example of how a 2-second timer is not enough when you are farther away from your camera. So now I set it on 10-second timer, once again making sure it's in focus. So I'm gonna manually focus this time. You can even zoom in up on that bee. I forget what button that is. This one. There we go. That way we know we're really nailing it. There we go. Okay. Woo, okay. All right, so now I'm gonna set the timer.
And then move that. Now I am where the unicorn would be.
To take the picture. So essentially all you have to do now that you have your focal point and you know where you need to stand is go back and press the shutter each time. And that's how you go about doing self-portraits with a timer. So now we're gonna go through using a remote. So what you wanna make sure you have on your camera is, of course, once again, all your settings are set up. Your camera has to be on the remote drive or the timer. It's the same thing. So pick either your 2-second or your 10-second. Okay, and I'm making sure that my lens is not on manual. I'm gonna switch it back over to autofocus. That way your camera will focus with the remote. And one thing I wanna address is that your focus mode will vary camera to camera. So right now I have mine set on the autofocus method that it will find your face in live view. So it's gonna be, you'll see the little thing tracking around to find my face. So it knows where I am. However, some older cameras, I might not have that option. But just know that if you have an older camera or you don't have those options, just look through the viewfinder, possibly, you know, make sure your focal point is where you're gonna be standing. So do you wanna be off to the side? Do you wanna be in the middle? Do you wanna be more towards the top if you're taking a vertical image? So just make sure you set your focusing point where you're gonna be at. So your camera is focusing to that point. So pretty much when you're using the remote, you're flailing your arms around like a psychopath until it actually catches the camera.
Sometimes this gets really frustrating because you're like, why are you not working? See, now it's working because I'm talking crap. But sometimes, you know, if you're trying to do a certain thing, just make sure you hide it. And this is super simple, really great option if you don't have the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth on your new gear, okay? Or if you don't have new gear. Not everybody can afford that-ish. This is not a cheap business to be in, am I right? Okay.
So one thing I want to talk to you about is tripods. I didn't do that earlier and I need to, so that way you know what to buy. So you do not need to have an expensive tripod. This one is expensive. I bought it a long time ago. It's made so freaking well. I will link it below because if you're interested in buying it. However, this thing has gotten more expensive over the years, and rightfully so. It's made really freaking well. However, when you're searching for a tripod, the only thing you really need to worry about is the mount itself. I prefer a ball head mount. This means that it moves around, so I can move this in every which direction, 360 degrees. It's great because I can get all sorts of angles with it. The other thing you need to worry about is weight capacity. So I forget how many pounds this is rated for, but this is like heavy duty aluminum. It's actually really not that heavy considering how well it's made. But the one thing you need to check for when buying a tripod is how much weight it can handle, what the weight capacity is, because some gear gets really heavy. I know a lot of people shoot mirrorless now. I have a mirrorless camera. This is just my old 6D that I was using for this video today, but this is heavy. This is not light by any means. So you want to make sure that your tripod can handle the weight of your gear, so that way it doesn't fall off and break. Because buying a cheap tripod for maybe $30, $40, $50 and then breaking, you know, thousands of dollars worth of gear, I mean, you take your pick. So just make sure you read reviews, look at the specs, and yeah.
I also want to talk to you guys about this new amazing product that I found. It's called a remote by Amazon Physics. It's amazing. It's like the best new remote that I've found recently. You just go like this. Just kidding, clearly. It's a remote. Okay, it's $11. Go buy it. She works like a charm. She's reliable AF. She gets the job done. Hey, and if she stops working, it's $11. It's 2 Starbucks drinks, okay? Go buy the remote.
If you have any questions, feel free to ask down below and I shall answer. Yes, that's what I'm here for. Ask me the questions and I shall answer. I hope this video is informative for you and helpful and you know, Yeah, you know what I mean. Happy shooting. Good luck with your self-portraits.